Okay, all praise, honor, reverence, esteem. We come before the Most High with a heart of gratitude, thankful for the discussion that we will have today. Most High is so good, and by the blood of His only begotten Son, we're able to have this conversation here with you all today. I am Obadiah Israel of YS Ministries. I am with Dr. William Emanuel, the director of People of Color Training and Research Institute. That's POCTRI, aka the People of Color Training Center out of Somerville and St. George, South Carolina. Listen up, family. Out the gate, we're going to put some respect on this elder's name. If we are talking accolades and dedication for the work of the Most High, we have yet to interview anyone that has put in close to as much work as this elder. Started his spiritual journey in 1976. You heard that, 50 years in. Began leading Bible studies in 1978. An author, scholar, community activist, electrical engineer, and the list goes on and on and on. Dr. Emanuel is a true servant of the Most High, and in real time, that translates to not only serving the so-called African American or Hebrew Israelite community, but the entire human creation and people of all ethnic backgrounds and walks of life. With over 400 free videos on their website and courses on everything from holistic living to end times prophecy, today we will go deep into eschatology, or what is termed biblical prophecy. And I just want to say that I am truly thankful and humbled to have this conversation with you today, Dr. Emanuel. And I would like to talk first about your journey. We are talking about a 50-year spiritual journey. How did that journey begin, and what led you to choose the Most High 50 years ago?
Well, I was thrown in jail. How about that? For
Hey.
hopping the train for 20 cents. A fool at that point, obviously. And spend the night in the jail. And I like, all right. You ain't got nothing on me. Hopping for 20 cents, you gonna lock me up. So I'm like, all right. I say, hey, yo, I'm off on the wrong trail. I need to I need to find something. And that's when I gave my heart to the Creator to awaken me to, yes, if I'm making a mess of my life, I need some direction. I need some clarity. I need, because this is ridiculous. And so I prayed, and I was a vegetarian at that time. They tried to give me some white bread and some salami, and I don't eat that. Oh, what did you won't be eating tonight, bro? I said, all right, no problem. I'm out there trying to do push-ups, and, trying to get my act together. That was well, the wake-up call. Wake up, my brother. You are lost. Are you ready to be found? And so, yeah, so that's really brought me to my real senses. And at that time, they were locking up black people like it was, three strikes and you out. Hey, you serving life sentences now. And so it's like, yo, is that where you want to be? Is that where no, that's not where I want to be. That's not. And so went to the judge and he said, okay, since you're in college and you're trying to make something of yourself, we're gonna let you slide this time. But
Mm.
now remember, this is over 20 cents, man. And so this is like ridiculous. And so he said, we'll let you slide. So, but we don't want to see you no more trouble. Okay. Don't cause no trouble. And hey, and you're free. So you'll be on probation for a year. After a year, you don't do nothing. Hey, we wipe all of this out, because it's nothing. So that's what, smacked me into, reality that, hey, you got to figure this out.
Wow. Yeah, I was just having a conversation with a young Ak a couple of days ago about jumping turnstiles because I'm, you know what I mean, I live in Long Island, so we used to hide in the bathroom on the LIR so we didn't have to pay the fee to get to the city. And then we never paid for the turnstile. And now that I think about it, man, they just got to a point where they have designed the turnstiles where you can't hop them no more. So maybe it was a conspiracy. Maybe they knew he was going to jump the turnstiles, and it was just another way to get us locked up. Man, that is a great testimony, Elder. So you grew up in Brooklyn, if
That's
I'm
a
not.
sad testimony, bro. That's a sad
But
testimony.
the
That
end,
that's what it's gonna take to
the
wake to wake up. That's like
pain,
wow.
pain, pain. If it's too comfortable, sometimes we stay in our muck.
That's there you
Get
go.
comfortable in the muck. So the Most High, he gave you a little light tap. He ain't break your arm or nothing.
Well, one of the interesting things was when I started following him, I came back to to my neighborhood, and I was hanging out, and in the summertime you come back. I was at Howard, so I came to the summer, stay with my parents, hang out. And a friend of mine, that used to be a friend of mine, he was lived across the street, and drugs was becoming rapid in our communities at that time. So his older brother was the same age as my older brother, and his older brother was on drugs, and he took like $300 or something like that, or $500 from him, from him, and took it and spent it on drugs. And then he said, "Where's my money?" He said, "Hey, oh, Emmanuel." He came over and said that you told him to give him the 300 to $500, and I gave it to him. He said, "What?" Oh man, I'm
Wow.
killing. And so I didn't know. And so I went out to a party that night. The next day, came back. We went on a field trip, and I found out years later he told me that he was down at the corner with a gun, told everybody he was gonna kill him,
Wow.
point blank. I didn't know any of this because I had nothing to do with it. I just, and so he said that a woman and some other people held him back when they saw me because he was go. So you don't even know that how you quick your life can be snapped. Appreciate you tell man, you were gonna be a dead man, bro. And there was no questions asked. Did you take it? You just gonna be dead. Period. And I'm like, wow, how he, protected me from the community that I was in. And other people, a friend of mine, some other people across the street, they were one guy, he shot somebody over a nickel bag or a dime bag, and he's serving life in prison. And so this is the environment I was in, man. I mean, this was like, hey, you got to get out of this, man. You got to get out of here, man. And you ain't even got nothing to do, then you gonna die.
Wow. Man, the value of life, right? And having to be in those situations really, it can, I know it could really change the trajectory of your thought process. You think about you could lose your life over something that you had absolutely nothing to do with, or lose your life over 20 cents or $5 or whatever the case may be. So you grew up right, around the time when quote unquote the government began to transition into giving us what they term so-called rights, voting rights, and things of that nature. So, what was it like growing up in Brooklyn, in the 60s, before you transition into adulthood? Like, what were those teenage years like?
Well, back in those days, there was a sense that we saw my brother who was 2 years older than me, 3 years older than me. He was on drugs. My sister's husband, he was on drugs. Everybody that was just like 2, 3 years who was being drafted, because as soon as I graduated from high school, they stopped the draft. Otherwise, I might not even be here.
Wow.
And so everybody that had that and had went through that, they came back as drug addicts. And so I realized that everybody that was just 5 years or 3 years older than me, all the males were on drugs. I mean, drugged out and so forth. The women, the wives, they had to pick up and run everything. And it was like, wait a minute, man, wait. We're not talking about one or two, we're talking about almost all of them. So it was like, it was a, I'm not getting caught up in drugs like that. Oh no, this is insanity. And so I was scared, tell you the truth, my brother, was scared. And I'm just glad that that stopped and gave me that opportunity. But as I said, it didn't stop because the people that were younger than me were shooting each other over nickel back. So I just happened to be in a space at a time. And I remember, I was at when I went to high school, when I went to school, and mom, my mom sent my sister 5 years and he 3 years older than me, sent them to the public schools. Then the public schools were getting bad, so she sent me and my brother to Catholic school. And the Catholic school, they be telling you this, that you don't do it, and they break rulers over your back. You like this, and they be pulling out your hand, and then you pull your head back, and they hit them, and then oh man, we were being whipped, man.
Wow.
This is cool. And I was like, and they were like, this guy, nah, okay, we're kicking him out. And so they kicked me out of the school. They kicked me out. And I was like, yeah, you're a rebellion, man. I said, but yeah, you lying, stealing, robbing, and killing, and you treat us any way you want, and you think I'm supposed to just like, yes, my, no, man, I ain't going for it. Oh, wait, okay, oh yeah, we got something for you. We know how to handle y'all. And that's what they were doing. And then when I went to high school, it was similar. Went to a Lutheran high school, and every year they kicked me out. Every year. Every year they kicked me out. And I remember one of the years, you got to go to chapel and all that. So you're supposed to wear your jacket. And, it was hot. And some people had sweaters and vests on. And so a white guy who was a wrestler and I was a wrestler, we were walking together and both of us didn't have our jacket on. We had a sweater on. And then the state, the master or whatever, the principal, whatever they called him, he said, you come here. I said, okay. Hey, where's your jacket? I said, now what about the white boy that was right beside me? Don't have to tell me about no white boy beside you. I'm talking, and I'm like, Dad, man, you a racist, man. And he got mad and he did something and I swung at him. Oh, yeah, I swung at him. My grassy boy, that's it. You're expelled for a week or whatever. And so, I mean, it was like rough. And I remember, and I didn't want to study because it was like, why am I waiting all this racist stuff? It was like, and then I remember clearly I was gifted in mathematics. So the math teacher I was taking in Martin Luther High School, I was acing his exams. And he's saying, there's no way that you outbeating all our white kids. And that's you cheating. And I said, what? You cheating. I said, okay, let's do this. Me and you, the only two in the class, I'll sit in the front row next to you. You sit in your thing and you can oversee me and you give me the exam. He did that, aced it. He said, okay, I guess. I mean, so it's like that type of thing. You can't even accept what you are. And then I got kicked out one time and my aunt reminded me because they were teaching something. I said, the people in the Bible, they were black. And he said, listen, okay, you're getting dismissed, kicking you out again. And okay, listen, you just accept whatever we write until you write your own book. Now, when you write your own book, then you can tell us and challenge us. And then when I wrote my own book, my aunt told me, yo, did you remember you got kicked out for that? You take that book up to that school and you show these one. And I like, no, I forgot about that. Yeah. And so I took it up there. So is that my environment? That's my environment, my brother. That's
Man,
my environment.
a rose grow out of the cement, elder. You know what I'm saying? Like you pulled whatever nutrients you could from that environment, whatever light you could from that environment, man. This testimony, man. When I was looking at the books, I didn't see an autobiographical piece. Did you put that together yet?
No.
All right, man.
No, but no, yeah, there is a bibliography in the beginning. Yeah, and it breaks down why I did what I did and some things, like good example. Thanks you brought that up. In the beginning of the book, under acknowledgments, that's where it's under. It's under acknowledgments.
Okay.
And in there, when we graduated from high school, now we talking about 17, 18-year-old kids. Okay. And there's like 4 or 5 of us who graduating and so forth. And so we're sitting on the steps in Brooklyn and we're just talking about, man, something's wrong. Something is wrong. Nobody's telling us what's right. We need to find out what is truth. And so that's when my journey of a group of us saying, we want to find out what is truth. And so we were saying that, we would see clearly that, and we wasn't even reading no books. This was just obvious that, hey, that we're still slaves. Okay, the difference between the slave with chains and the slave with the chains on our minds is that you work for slave master, so you got a job. You if slave master gonna give you a place so that you can sleep. He's gonna make sure that you can eat, so he gives you a little garden. Then he makes so you can eat. And if you got things to do, then he'll give you a horse to do some work for him. And I'm saying, what's the difference between that? I get a car, okay, you pay for that, and you don't own it because they could take it whenever they want. You got a house, you pay your whole life, 30 years in that, you don't even own that. As soon as you don't pay the taxes, they take that. And we're like, this is ridiculous. And only we got a job, we still saving, we still working for slave master. And so now we ain't talking about no adults. We talk about 17, 18-year-old kids who could see that. And we're saying, wow. So we need to really find out what is the real deal because we don't know. And I don't think our parents know. I don't think nobody knows. And to find out years later, I asked my parents about it. Yeah, we saw that. Well, why didn't you tell us?
What's beautiful, because I think about when you are in that younger space in your, late teenage years into early adult years, a lot of young people have that mentality that you're talking about, but they don't carry it into adulthood. They allow themselves to get immersed into society. They begin working their job. They're putting their money away for their pension. And those things or those values somehow begin to dissipate sometimes as people get older and they just want to be comfortable. They want to work their life, get their retirement, and live out their American dreams. So the testament to maintain that zeal, because I feel young vigor and zeal. Like I still in this conversation, I feel like I'm still talking to a 17, 18-year-old William Emanuel. Like it's still in there. You know what I mean? And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing, man. And one of the questions I had was maybe one particular situation that changed the trajectory of your life. But to me, it sounds like it was a continuous chain of events that just kept on changing the trajectory of your life and changing the trajectory of your life. So my next question would be like, what advice would you have for the next generation, and what advice would you have given to your younger self?
Yes, the same thing that we came up with. Know the truth. Do
Uh,
not be happy with anything and all of that. Look at your life. Look at your parents' life. Look at your grandparents. Look at your uncle, their uncle. Look at all of this and see, hey, where are we going? What's really going on? Now, one person, a friend of mine, I asked him, he made it well. He retired, and he told me, I asked him a question. What is your purpose? Why did you come here? And now he's an engineer with a master's degree. So he's like, well, I was just supposed to be born and then die. What? That's it. Because what else is there? I mean, raise a family, this, that. But I mean, what else is there? There is nothing else. And I'm like, whoa, bro. Okay, let me ask you a question. You're an engineer. You design different things. So if you can design something that's people can use, okay, you made a design and you put it together and they're using it. And so it was for a purpose. Are you telling me that the creator of the universe don't have a purpose for you, for me, for all of us? Not about in the 60s. And I never thought of that. I'm like, you what? You never passed my mind. I'm born and I die. That,
Man.
I'm like, whoa. So did that give y'all a good point? The young
No,
people should not fall into that category. They have to find their purpose, why they were created. And the only way you're going to find that purpose is through the being that created you.
praise Yahuwah. Man, we got a young guy in our congregation. Every time we do prayer requests, he always adds that we have to know why we're here. And to hear this reiterated through you is just always confirmation of the way that the Ruach, or the Spirit of the Most High, moves. Um, so, I know that you've had to have some challenges and obstacles because you're going against the grain, and you've been going against the grain since you hopped that turnstile. And you was in there doing their push-ups. They try to give you a salami sandwich. So, so, what do you think has been, your biggest challenge, making the decision that you've made to go against the grain and to serve the Most High?
Well, I have a unique experience where I grew up. Simply due, and I spoke with many people, and they said, "Man, ain't nobody having that experience that you having, bro. No, 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 no. Don't be putting everybody in your category. Don't you do that, bro. You had special gifts, special people. You had certain things that we didn't have." So what had happened was when I was growing up, my father was a Seventh-day Adventist, my mom wasn't, so we went to church with him, and he was vegetarian, so we learned about the vegetarian life real early. And he had what they called Elder William, and she was fulfilling Joel. Joel chapter 2, verse 28 and 29 says, "And I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions, and also upon the servants and the handmaidens will I pour out my spirit in those days." They had the gift. There was a little Bible group, a Bible study or prayer group. And so whenever the pastor, was going to visit someone sick, he would take them with him. And they would pray and the people would be healed. So then other people in the church who I think they didn't like that. And then they dressed, with more, clothes covering, they were, like that. And then there was at one church at Brooklyn Temple. That's where it was. I remember I would be a little kid and I'd be sleeping and they, wake up and all that stuff on Sabbath. And I remember that that they moved from there to South Brooklyn Church. And the people heard about them and kicked them out the church.
Wow.
And like, because the other pastor was gone, so this is like, hey, yo, hey, new pastor, hey, dump these people. They bow when we didn't tell them to bow. They praying. They're wearing clothes, trying to cover themselves. And hey, so they kicked them out. So now the question was, okay, so do this little right. So we started meeting, or they started meeting, because like I said, I'm a little kid. So they started meeting in the projects, in the ghetto, in a two-bedroom apartment, and they would bring their kids and all that. So it's like a whole bunch of little kids, and they have a little altar, and they're praying on Sabbath. We bring in the Sabbath on Friday. Then they come together on Sabbath, and they're studying together and praying together, and they're having dreams and visions. People are seeing all type of things, angels and messages and all of that. So I grew up in that environment, not reading about it, actually living and seeing it for myself. And so some people had asked me, well, we don't know nothing about that. I said, why? Because y'all kicked everybody out that had it. So if you kick them out, how you gonna have it? You don't even think about it. Even though you know a lot of stuff that's going in there is corrupt, you still just keep going because that's all you know. So in that environment, it was it was putting certain things in me and in all the children, because I was a little kid, and all the children. And then as I grew up, and that incident happened, the train stopped. So now I'm trying to figure out, okay, I need to find out what truth is. I'm sick of this foolishness. So now I'm trying to, figure out what is truth and where to go and all of that type of thing. And so I joined, so I go to a church in DC. It's First Church, they called it. And what's going on here? We having service. No, y'all ain't having service. This is apostasy. This is just blatant apostasy. See, I grew up in a whole different mindset, so this is like, and one guy said, hey, I'm the elder here, but hey, yes, we know that we're in apostasy.
What?
Yeah. And he said, listen, bro, hey, we got an
Wow.
underground church. We got an underground church. It's a black church. We got an underground church. And everybody meets at my crib on Friday evenings as we bring in the Sabbath and we really start to study. But all of this is just fake. All of this is fake. And I'm like, you know all this? Yeah, man. But hey, we're doing something about it because we're meeting on our own and so forth. And so he said, but you're not gonna be able to do good here, bro, because you ain't gonna be quiet. This is just rubs you the wrong way. You just like, so he said, okay, I'm gonna send you over to this other church. Now, this guy, he's supposed to be teaching the truth over there. And he's keeping the Sabbath, everybody, vegetarian. And at this church, you were required to be baptized, you had to be a vegetarian, can't have a TV. Um, okay, and you're studying. And when they come together on Sabbath, we come together on Sabbath, they have the sermon, we eat together, and after we eat, then we studying until sunset. So that's the environment. Oh, yes, yes, yes. This is what I'm used to. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. That other stuff was a joke. And so I'm there rolling with that and reading the books and so forth. And I remember as I was doing that, the next year or during that time frame, I started having, I'm just on fire. So I said, okay, we're gonna have to start having Bible studies on campus. So I started having Bible studies on Howard's campus. So this is our first little Bible study group. We got these around 4 of us, and then we take them over to the church when I drive them over there. So we're all, tying this all together. And so we're happy. We just young kids. We don't know nothing. We just kids. And so this is the problem that keeps happening, that people feel threatened by me. Then I'm like, how are you gonna feel threatened? You 50-some years old, and I'm like 20. Well, come on, get real. And later on, I found out why. And so what was going on? I was at that time, we were at Howard's campus. They were this guy named Art. He wrote the book From Dogma to Life, and he was a raw foodist. And so he had the School of Ecology teach a 21-day cleanse program. It was 7-day raw, 7-day juice, 7-day raw. But you had to be a vegetarian for 1 year first because your body will start pumping out all these poisons, and you don't want it to kill you, hurt you like that. So I started on that program. Oh man, that did change everything. That changed everything. Every time that my little Bible study group, whenever we had finals, exams, we did 21-day cleanse. Aced every, Ace and B's. That's it. There's like 4 of us. We like Daniel. Daniel and the Hebrews. Worthy. We doing that. We saw 10 days, 21. That's what we do it. And so all of a sudden now, when I went over, I was transferred from the architecture to engineering after my first year because I was told that engineering, electrical had it. And I looked, and there was electromagnetic theory 1 and 2, networks 1 and 2, electronics 1 and 2. One guy was teaching us, he said, it was Dr. Samuel, and there's 40 people in the class and only 4 or 5 people pass. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm going to be, yeah, they're going to pay you, man. Well, yeah, I guess so. If you can ever get out. And so I remember that as clear as day. So I asked one of the other guys who were graduating, who was an A student, and he said, this is how you study. Boom, boom, boom. So he was teaching me how to study. So I learned how to study, did the 21-day cleanse, popping 3.0s, 3.5s, 3. So I can get scholarship to take me through. And this is all spiritual and everything. And the first book that I really read was the Bible, because I didn't know how to read, because I was, I hated what they were teaching in school. So I just ignored all that. And now I'm at this place. And now with the gifts, it just started like it was like natural. And then I realized he said this stuff only come by fasting and prayer. And I'm like, whoa, whoa,
Mhm.
whoa, whoa. Okay. So by accident, I guess not really by accident, but by design of the creator, okay, I'm gonna put you in a situation so that you can now move up another level. And so it not just did that. So then I started studying the Bible like I started engineering. And
You
that changed
started studying what?
the
I mean,
Bible
okay.
like I studied engineering. And listen, when you study in engineering, you got to work all the problems, and you don't go to bed before 3 to 5 o'clock in the morning. And then you back up, and then you start the project again. So it's like that. So when Sabbath came, I'm like, I'm studying the Bible, I'm studying, and that's all we're doing. And so it was like, so everything that I was learning there was now in the physical world was now being transferred into the spiritual world. And with the background that I already knew the gifts were real, I already knew all of this stuff. And so now, we're looking at, well, wait, we're doing similar to what Daniel did when he was a kid. Just like we do. Yeah, yes, 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 yes. We were like, yes, this is it. So we like, boom. And so since then, I've always done 21 cleanses and days, especially during the feast days, because that's when the Creator wants to meet with us. So I want to be as open as possible so that you can teach, train us, and use me as a vessel if that's what you want to do. So during that time frame, during that, then I was at the church, and one guy told me later, he said that I joined the church because of you. I said, why you joined? Because you were beaming, man. You were just beaming. And everybody thinks you joined the church because of the pastor, because no, it was you. And I'm like, wow, dang, I didn't know that. And we would sort of like the little group of us, of four of us, we'd be there on Sabbath. And so people be eating, they have potluck and glutton down and all that stuff. And we'd be over there eating some grapes or drinking some juice or whatever. So I knew there was some animosity happening, you know. And some of the older people were like, who do these guys think they are? Now, we're the most spiritual out of everybody there. So they're not, going to attack us from that perspective. So as time went on, I remember I had a dream, and the dream said that I'm gonna get kicked out the church. And my wife was gonna kick me out. My sister gonna kick me out. My sister-in-law gonna kick me out. Now these are my Bible study group. And I tell them, yo, man, y'all gonna kick me out the church. Oh no, we ain't gonna kick you out the church. Yeah, listen, that's what the dream said. No, 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 no. That ain't happening. But come on, man. You just. So anyway, I eventually we were there and I talked on the gifts. That's always gets me in trouble. I was talking about the gifts and how they are today, and the pastor said, "Listen, if the gifts were real today, we don't, which I don't think so, but we would have them in his church. I would have them basically." And I'm like, okay, but that's besides the point. So now I present this, and he says, okay, Brother Emmanuel's teaching heresy. He's teaching that the gifts are real and they're happening today. And so, we have to disfellowship. And I asked my sister later, why'd you vote me out? She said, I didn't vote you out. My hand went up automatically. I said, what? I did not even raise my hand. It went up. That's called mesmerism. And I'm like, whoa, man, this is what's going on in the church. And I'm like, whoa, this is like insane. So anyway, so one of the sisters, the secretary, she said, listen, I want to make sure we make something straight. There's nothing wrong with you. Let's make sure that's straight. There's nothing wrong with you. I want to make sure that's clear in your brain. You're getting kicked out because you are hard headed. If Yahweh shows you something and we say the opposite, you're going to follow Yahweh and you're going to reveal what. So we can't have you here. We can't. And I'm like, I thought that's what this is all about.
Wow.
And so when I got kicked out, see, they were thinking lots of people would get kicked out all over the place back in those days. So anyway, they were thinking that, okay, now we shut the brother down. But they forgot that I'm a second generation kick out. So, hey, so thank you. You freed me. Praise it. Hallelujah. Okay. sister, brother, all the people. Then I started having Bible studies on Howard's campus in graduate school for the masters and PhD and the undergrad. So then we started. So everything that happened that I grew up, we repeated again. And some people were thinking that, hey, he will be gone. And I remember years later, his oldest son told me, I met him one time. He said that his dad said, watch Dr. Emmanuel. Watch him. Because he's got some good stuff. But he can't be here. And I'm like, wow. I mean, and remember, I'm a kid. You're in your 50s. I mean, I'm just like, I'm just blown away, man. Like, y'all really ain't serious about this? Y'all playing games with people's souls?
Man, this I was just in Detroit this past weekend, and the idea of the ministry is that we got different members in the body, like you said, different gifts. So what is there to be fearful of if the Most High is obviously showing that this person is gifted in this area, that we yield? Whether it is prophecy, whether it is teaching, whether it is administration, you know, and ultimately, though, from what I have surmised, all of these challenges and obstacles the Most High has allowed to happen for us to be able to have this conversation today, because He brought you to a space where you had to be the person that was under shepherd over the organization that He's given you. You know what I mean? And I can see the enormous amount of work that He has given you, you know what I mean, to accomplish for the awakening. And as you have professed in the things that you have talked about, this is for humanity. You're not limiting it to a certain subgroup of people. While it is focused on a certain subgroup of people, ultimately it's for everybody. And that's a beautiful thing. So, that being said, I think that's a good segue to the next question. Like, what do you think are the biggest challenges we face in our community, the quote unquote African American, so-called African American or Hebrew community, and humanity as a whole?
Okay. It's called the Great Transformation. Joel, verse chapter 2. This is called the Great Transformation. This is my latest book and my latest life that He has shown me. Now, it's simple, but it's very deep. When we read about in Galatians chapter 2, verse 20, I am crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. What does that really mean? When we look at 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 4, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust, we're partaker of the divine nature. What does that mean? What does Romans 12 mean? I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yah, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed. That's what we're talking about, the great transformation. But be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so, as an engineer, we look at everything in reference to energy or levels of energy or frequency. Like a good example would be I spoke with one brother and I said the Bible is about spiritual gifts. Everybody that's writing, it's got the gifts, and that's how they're writing. They're prophesying, they're doing all of these different things. And we don't really look at it from that perspective, he said. And so what we were trying to understand was to wake up our people was that we have something that's called water, H2O. Okay, H2O is an element. Okay, and it has a frequency. A frequency. What is frequency? That's a vibration of atoms. That's all it is. It's just atoms that vibrate, nothing more. So if you have atoms that they're vibrating, then they're moving. Okay, and so the lowest state is like a rock or with water, it would be ice. So it has a little bit of energy, which they call frequency there. Now, frequency, okay, we can see clearly that when we have a radio and we tune the radio to a certain frequency, guess what we get? We get a chance to hear what's in the waves that we can't see with our eyes. Same thing
Wow.
with the TV. When we tune the TV, and we used to have those little things that we used to adjust it, and then you get the frequency and so forth. Right. And so on the radio you got AM, FM frequencies, but we can't see them. Okay, well, we can't see them. Are they real? Yes, they're real. They're all around us. They're surrounding us. And so that's what a frequency is. That's what that. And so we as and inside of a TV and these different things, if you look and open them up, you'll see a design inside of them. And the design is done by little wires here and there and diodes and different things. And it's similar to African clothes. In African clothes, they have these, designs, and they look just like that. And then I looked and I said, wait a minute. When we look at the priest, the high priest, he had what?
The ephod.
That's correct. That's right. And he had what? And what were on him?
The
Crystals.
stones, the
Oh,
crystals.
that's correct. And then inside of their linen, they were threaded with, guess what? Gold.
Mm.
And that's the greatest conductor of electricity. And some of the designs in the TVs and the cell phones and all of that and computers, they have that. And so I'm like, what are we talking about here? We're talking about an electrical network that Yahweh has set up that people got no clue. And that's where they should kind of glory, that energy, that rate. And it would go through, and then it would say, hey, okay, you asked the question, what? It'll light up yes or light up no. How's that possible? This was all, I was like, wow, man, this is wow. Now, the next part was that your bones are made up of the same substance of certain types of crystals. And so all you have to do is have your body tuned in the same way that you tune into a radio frequency or a TV frequency. And I'm like, wait a minute. And that's how people saw angels. That's how Daniel was able to see. And I'm like, wait a minute, wait. You taking this thing, wait, calm down, man. What are you talking about? Yes. The creator, he's the creator of the universe. Of course he made electricity. Of course he knows what electrons are. Of course he made it. Of course. See, but we don't think that way. They don't want us to think that way. We don't want to be connected so much with the creator so that that's what he can tune in. And that's why Paul said he went to the third heaven. And so he's saying, hey, I want to change you. And that's where the 144 come in. That's where the perfecting of the people. That's what this whole thing is about. The letting the spirit dwell in you so that, yes, you had a different thinking. You had a different frequency. All of that type of stuff. So now that you understand that, now we're going to show you how it actually happens. And then how it happens in us. That's what's missing. Let me show you this.
You just blew my mind.
Hey, yo,
Like,
bro.
wow.
What do you think?
No, but I get it though. I
Oh,
I get what you're saying. You didn't blow my mind like what is he talking about? You blew my mind like I don't fully get it, but wow. Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow.
yes, this is what the next book is all about. This is what the next
Wow.
journey is all about.
Wow.
Yes, that is exactly correct. So
Well,
let
no,
me break it down real quick.
all
Okay,
right.
so you have the lowest frequency of vibrations of atoms, and that's ice. And
Yeah.
so the only way that you can move from ice into water is that you have to give it what? Energy. Okay, which we call heat. So you melt it, and now the heat, and now the same H2Os are now vibrating faster, and so because they're vibrating, now they're turning to water. Okay, and so it's just this frequency of or the vibration of that same water is changing each time. Then you add, so now you're fluid, and so now you add more energy to it, and now you put it into steam. Can you see the steam? No. Put your hand over it and you will burn you. So it's there, but you can't see it. And that's the way it is in this world where we are in our bodies. Are we on the lowest frequency as possible? Are we being socially engineered? Oh, yeah, bro. Human nature turns us into ice mold. And they molding us. See, when you have the ice, you got the water, you put it in the ice. When you're born, yeah, you're free. And then they say, okay, let me give you a culture. Let me teach you. That's why it's required to go to K through 12 so that you can be ice.
Mm.
That's the whole design. They already perfected what we're talking about. They already know. So the spirit showed me this too. Like, okay, you guys ain't got the only people that's gonna figure this out. So he's showing that that's the state that we're in, and that's where miseducation. That's where all of this stuff goes. So when you're in this state, they can put you, make it like an icicle, make it like an ice cube, make it like whatever. And so that's why you have what they call the projects. Well, are you telling me that we're just what animals running around and they're experimenting with us in projects and they're telling us, yeah, bro, you're a project, bro. And guess what? And the doctors, because they're not using natural remedy, they're saying we're not a science, we're a practice. So you're practicing on guinea pigs. And we're the guinea pigs. I'm like, damn, man, they telling us everything they doing. And we so brainwashed, we just buy into it. We don't even, we're not even thinking because that's how you've been molded. So now we need the spirit to say, hey, I got to give you some energy and move you out of that locked condition that you were in, like I was in. Okay, but we got to, and so he gives you the energy, and now you're moving into the water. Okay, now you're more fluid, and so you can move, you can think. Before you couldn't think, you will be locked in. That's it. There is no outside. That's it. And so now you're able to move as a fluid. Oh man. So now I can think. Oh man, I can make decisions. Oh yes, I can move out of this place. And then that's where the spirit, it gets you the spirit again. And then he's gonna turn you into the steam. And that's where Joel is talking about. And I'll pour up my spirit upon all flesh. There it is, brother.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
It's like,
And this is what he did. This is what he did. So he said that what's in the seen is also in the unseen. And so he's showing us in the physical world. Now, this is how it works in the spiritual world. You're down at the lowest frequency, socially engineered, brainwashed, conditioned, whatever you want to call it, in this mold. Then, as he gives you the spirit, then down your increasing spiritual energy turns ice into free flowing water, which is a renewing of the mind. Think about it. Psalms 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. That is this. Babylon, that's all it is. They're making sure you go to school, you got to be. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sin, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. Everything that we see from TV, videos, everything that we have given is that. That's what they're doing. Three ways they're getting us. Then he says, okay, that's what they're doing. They molded you, they got you there. Okay, so now that's why he said in Romans that he says that did you present your body as a living sacrifice, holy, which is your reasonable service, and be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's why I asked about these questions. And so as we move from our human nature, our fallen nature, which the condition we're in, we're moving over. And that's why in Romans chapter 7, he says that the law of sin in our members, that we were sold under sin. See, all of that stuff. Yeah, that brother over there smiling, boy.
listen, and I know because we couldn't coordinate on a date because we got our feast days coming up, and that's going to be the closeout of the GAI Passover. But we're going to keep on trying to make that date happen, man. The people need to hear this in full. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They need
Oh,
to
yeah.
hear this in full. I'm going to try to see. It may not be May, June, but eventually we're going to make it happen because the people need to hear this. Definitely. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you just really, it's like things that I, I've heard on the surface, but the way that you were able to explain some things today opened me up to some different things, man. And That's amazing. I got a young Ak that I want to connect you with too. He just graduated with his mechanical engineer degree, and he migrated from here because he was here with us, but he had to migrate to Michigan, and I think he could definitely utilize. I think a conversation between the two of you would be good. I think you could impart some things on this young man that could help him with his vision and his spiritual journey as well. And that's what this whole movement is about. It's that in real time. Let's stop. Let's stop being. Let's get out the ice tray. Let's get out the. Let's stop being these cube ice. We all the same in these ice trays, and they just taking the ice tray and putting us wherever they want. And let's become that steam. Let's get mobile out here. You know what I mean? Let's flow out here. Hallelujah. Praise Yahuwah. This is a great segue into our next question, Elder, because I know that you're
Yes, sir.
well versed in eschatology and biblical prophecy. So, what do you think about the current state of the world? And from your understanding, where are we at prophetically? And what do you think we need to be doing to be prepared for the days ahead of us?
So we have here there's a few things going on. One is, as I mentioned, and this has been going on for at least 70 years, because like I said, I was just a little kid and they had the gifts. So Joel chapter 2, and I will pour out my spirit, and it shall come to pass afterwards that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Now notice this quote, it says he poured on flesh. He didn't say just Hebrew. That's not what he said. Your sons and daughters shall prophesy, your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions. And also upon the servants and upon the handmaiden will I pour out my spirit. And what is actually happening? Now, many people have teachings of last day events according to Daniel and Revelation and all that stuff. Most of that has been given to us from the European viewpoint. He has showed me that all of that is garbage. Now, the way if we're in the last days, since we're in the last days, we should be able to see prophecy literally being fulfilled in light of today's environment, today. So when I'm reading, so he's showing me that when I'm reading here in Daniel 7, verse 1 through 5, in the first year of Belteshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions upon his head, upon his bed. What? Dreams? This is what we just read in Joel. Yes. Then he wrote the dream. He said, dreams. It says dreams and visions, prophecy, dreams and see visions. Wow. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea. And four great beasts came up from the sea. That verse, one from another. Now, during this time, when it talks about that there was the four winds, when we read in Revelation chapter 7, we find the same thing. The four winds are blowing on the earth. And then it says, ho, 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 till you seal the servants of Yahweh in their forehead. So this was right around the beginning of the sealing of the 144,000 in chapter 7. So that's given us a time frame. Because the most important things is that we must understand when we're studying is that we need to know the time, the place, and the people, because they keep changing. And unless you understand that, you'll be, making applications of stuff that's not real. So now it tells you, and four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. Now, is there any nation that their symbol is a lion? Great Britain. Is there any nation that their symbol is an eagle? USA. And where did USA come from? From Great Britain. And I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked. And it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand upon the feet of a man. and a man's heart was given to it. What is the lion? He's the king of the jungle. Is that what Great Britain was? What is the eagle? He's the what? The king of the sky. Don't we bomb everybody back into existence? And I'm like, whoa. And then it says that this eagle, the United States, wings will be plucked. That's what's happening. The president is destroying the great empire. And then it says that once the wings are plucked, it's going to be made to stand like everybody else. We will lose that. And that's what he's doing. He is going around the world, creating wars, knocking people off, the whole get. He's doing it. And overthrowing the government, saying, hey, we're wiping you guys out. There is no more justice. Now, remember, Rome never was conquered. The United States isn't going to be conquered. The United States is going to be just like Rome. It'll just fall apart. That's where we are. And I don't think anybody, I have not heard one person make this application. That's where we are. And then the next one, it says the bear, it says it's a bear, that it goes forth devouring and devouring it. So it's like a beast, like a bear. Who's the bear? Russia tells you they're the big bear. and he rise up on one side, and he had 3 ribs in his mouth, and between the teeth of it, and said unto it, arise and devour much flesh. That's what's actually going on. And I don't hear nobody making the application to the present day, because all this is past, This happened in Greece and Media Persia and Babylon, and that had nothing to do with today, when it has everything to do today. And the most important thing is what? That he's using the representation of our nations as we call them today. That's the most shocking part. And it's like, yes, that's where we are. Now we're hearing that the oil prices are going up and all of that. How did that happen? We have here in Revelation, the Bible talks here, and I saw, Revelation 6, 1-8, and I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder, and the 4 beasts saying, come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given to him. And he went forth conquering and to conquer. Now, many people believe that this is the Messiah in Revelation chapter 19, who has a horse, but he doesn't come with a bow. He's not given a crown. He has many crowns, and it says, and written upon him is King of Kings, Lord of Lords. That's not what this one is saying. And he goes forth conquering and to conquer. I was in a vegetarian restaurant store, and I was puzzled over this, and so I'm asking this the guy who's waiting on me. I said, "Do you know anybody that fits this description?" So I get finished, shopping, and then he draws this picture for me, and he showed me, yeah, this is the cross. Remember, in the Roman time, that was called the what? The crossbow. That's the crucifix. This is his crown, and he's dressed in white. And I'm like, and I said, how did you know that? He said, I grew up Catholic. So when you said that, it just, so anybody, so we're seeing prophecy before our very eyes, man. We're seeing it before our very eyes. And it went for conquering and to conquer. We know that Christianity and all of that, they've conquered the whole world. They have brought their stuff into everywhere on the planet and has taken over. And they all are under the guidance of Protestantism, popery. And I'm like, wow. And then somebody says, when you read Matthew chapter 24, he tells you, and Yeshua said, because they ask him privately, when shall these things be, and when shall be the sign of thy coming and end of the world, which you're just asking about. And Yeshua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. It could be great deception. For many shall come in my name. Whose name? The name of Jesus, the name of Christ, saying, I, Jesus, is the Christ, and shall deceive many. I was told this was the Muslim. I was told this was Buddha. I was told this was, but they don't come in the name of Jesus. They do not say that Jesus is the Christ. This only fits the deception of what we just saw under the first seal.
Mm.
And I'm like, whoa, 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 freeze, freeze, stop. So, so when that hit, then it says, and he shall hear of wars and rumors. So they're asking him to give them the order. And in Matthew, it gives you the order. My charts show you the order. These in Matthew, wars and rumors of wars. See, and that's what the second seal is. It's the wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation. Are we in the middle of that? And kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famine. Now, I hope y'all been hearing that, hey, food is going up, it's getting out of control, and the gas prices are going through the roof, and there'll be pestilence, more disease, and earthquakes. And this says this is the beginning of sorrow. This ain't the info. This is the beginning of sorrow. Then, when you go back to the seals, and when he had opened the second seal, and the beast said, "Come and see," and there went out a red horse, and that he should kill one another. That the great sword is exactly what's going on today. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the beast saying, "Come and see." And I beheld the lower black horse, and he that sat on him, a pale balances in his hand. And I heard the voice in the midst of the four beasts, a measure of wheat for a penny. A penny was a day's labor at that time, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, a day's labor. And see that thou hurt not the what? Oil or the wine. And today, the oil prices are going through the roof. And they saying that means the farmers' prices are going to go up, the shipping over here is going to go up, and we will might say some are saying we'll be seeing a gallon $7 a gallon. So we're right. I mean, you couldn't get more clear than this. Economic crisis. And then he tells you clear as day. And when he had opened the fourth seal, and I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and lo, a pale horse. And he that sat on him, power of the earth to kill with the what? Sword, that's the wars, to kill with hunger, with the beasts of the earth. So we're now hearing back about what? Bird flu. We're hearing back. So all of these different things are what is actually happening at this time. So yes, where are we in time? Was that a question?
Where are we prophetically?
Yes, sir.
Man, yeah, there are elements of that I've heard, but definitely there are elements that I have never heard presented before, and I definitely look to take some time to go back over today's discussion and to look at this in more detail. And man, it's with everything that's been discussed today, from your testimony um, to the scientific breakdown of how things operate in the spiritual realm to the prophecy. I think you gave the people a full plate, a full plate to deal with today. In closing, Elder, if you could talk to the people about what's next up for the People of Color Training Center and what you guys have coming that you want people to be aware of.
Yes, we're during April, we're hoping to run a conference and a series on all of this and more. No, I mean, there's many areas that we cover. Let me share that with us, the areas that we will be sharing. Okay, we'll be covering sustainable, healthy lifestyle, which is most definitely everybody's even talking about sustainability. Are we going to be able to survive? Last day events, we talked a little bit about that. People of color in the Bible, and how when you start once you understand this, it's not just, oh, okay, I'm black, I'm a Hebrew. Oh, yeah, no, 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 no. Once you get there, now you have to reinterpret all of scriptures all over again, and all last day events because they've been given to us from another perspective, from their perspective, and we're still keeping that because we're not doing the study on that. And so that's where we get lost. So it opens up a whole nother world. That's just the ABCs. If you don't see that, then you're not going to see anything. We talked about miseducation and being what? In the eyes phase. Transition to manhood, that's what we dealing with. We're having a 4-point plan out where I am. We have 10 acres. And our goal is to be able to, we're growing orchard out there for food. We want to be able to take young people, bring them out, that we can have training, such that manhood training retreats, that they can come out and they can learn how to identify plants. We're going to have somebody, we're going to do that during that last 2 weeks of April. We'll be having someone, and then we'll have survival camp. And so all of these different things we're going to have out on this land, and then we're going to be feeding into the inner city. Our goal is to be able to educate the young people, have classes and all of those things so that we can build up the youth, because the youth is the future. And that's why that's so important. And so we talk about our programs that we have, Black History and so forth. And smoking is in our community, and we have a sister, a nurse, she's going to explain that and talk about all the different things so that we can know. And obviously STEM, which you just heard, of how you can apply that to the Bible. Yes. So yeah, so these are the type of things that we're planning to do for the last 2 weeks under y'all, as y'all give us that opportunity to put out for the people.
Beautiful, Elder. Beautiful. Beautiful, 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 great discussion. I pray that the Most High provides you with all of the sustenance and all of the resources and the time and the people resources that you will need to execute such a well thought out and detailed plan. This is well thought out, and I see the desire here is to cover all the bases, to leave no stone unturned, so that people have the fullness of what they need spiritually, mentally, and physically, because we are composed of all of those elements in order to be able to do what they got to do. So I want to thank you again, Dr. Emmanuel, for sharing your testimony, sharing the wealth of knowledge that you have, just for taking the time out that you have today and over the past decades, and staying dedicated and staying consistent. Like, I could go on and on. Like, when I was looking at that, I was like, we could spend an hour just on the accolades if we wanted to. I could go on and on. And I'm thankful, and I'm looking forward to the people being edified by today's conversation. And I look forward to us continuing to build our relationship as well. And with that being said, all praise, honor, and reverence, esteem to the Most High. Do you have any words in parting that you will want to share with the people before we close out?
Okay, yeah, after the feast, look for us up on his calendar so that we can, cover much more. And as we have it already laid out, so that we can understand. And we'll have it, that the videos will be new videos for people so that they can actually see and be part of this movement as we move forward in following the Creator at this time in Earth's history.
Praise Yahuwah. All right, my people. Shalom, shalom. Hopefully everybody out there that has the opportunity to view this video really draws something from it. Shalom.
Shalom.